Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. This talks about constituents of option premium. So what constitutes an option premium? There are three different parts. And in multiple literatures, you might have the second part slightly varied. Okay, so let's understand what we're talking about. Option premium's first and primary component is intrinsic value. What is intrinsic value? Intrinsic value is a positive difference between the current stock prices and the options price. To put very simply, if I am able to exercise the option immediately and I am in a profitable situation, the option is said to have an intrinsic value. I don't have to wait. I can exercise it immediately and make profits. So that is the intrinsic value. Then you have something which is known as the time value. So what happens is if there is 2 months, 3 months to expiration of the contract, then there is a chance that currently though the option is not profitable, it may turn into profitable situation in the near future. That is OTM to ATM concept. So this is known as the time value. Value investors are willing to pay for the opportunity for the stock price to move favorably within the given time frame because they know there is still time. So the part of the premium associated with that time is known as the time value of the option premium. The next part is implied volatility. Now, volatility can be historical, can be forward looking also. Here we are not looking at historical volatility. It is forward looking only. So it is a measure of how much the market believes that the price of the stock or the underlying asset will move in the future. Certain stocks are not known to be very highly volatile. So that volatility factor will be a part of the option premium. Okay. In certain cases, the volatility is zero or practically very low. In that case, there'll be no part associated of the implied volatility in the option premium. Now, option premium, there are different names. So it can be cost of the option, option premium, price of the option, could be multiple different names for the same thing, which is the option premium. Calculation of the option premium. This is just for illustrative purposes. Okay. So let's try and understand that. Let's say the spot price is 60 rupees and the strike price is 50 rupees. So it clearly means that the intrinsic value exists in this option and that is 10 rupees, the difference between the above two values. Let's assume that there is also a time value which is associated. In this case, let's assume it to be 5. There is an implied volatility also associated, and if it is converted into numbers, it gives a value of 2. So the total option premium will be 10 plus 5 plus 2, making it 17. Now, in most of the cases, you will see that time value and implied value is together calculated. So it's basically time value plus implied value is the option premium minus its intrinsic value. Right? Case 2. Let's say the option is moving towards expiry. The time value will decrease, obviously. And let's say the implied volatility also decreases because as you move towards expiration, the chances of volatility impacting the prices would be comparatively low. So in this case, let's say 10 plus 4 plus 1 is 15. Or on the reverse side, you can calculate 15, which is option premium, which you can see published in public domain. That minus intrinsic value, which is 10, will leave the time value plus implied volatility, in this case too, as 5. Third case, it's still moving forward, or there's a product, there's a fund, there's a stock for which the implied volatility is absolutely zero. So that's not going to be a part of your discussion here. So 13 is option premium, 10 is the intrinsic value, means 3 is going to be the time value plus implied volatility. Your implied volatility is not there, so that's only the time value component. This is only illustrative. We cannot actually calculate the time value and the implied volatility here. The best way to calculate is you know the option premium, you know the intrinsic value. Basis that you can calculate the combination of the value of time value plus volatility. Intrinsic value. Now, intrinsic value would be different in case of a call and put option. What is call? Call means buy. So if the strike price is higher, if the spot price is higher than the strike price, the difference between the two will be the intrinsic value of a call option. Coming to put, what is put? Put is sell. So strike price minus the spot price will give you the value of the intrinsic value of the put option. Now always remember that only ITM or in the money options have intrinsic value. And ITM option in ITM options, profits can be made if the option is exercised immediately. That we've already seen in the earlier slide. That intrinsic value means that you can exercise the option immediately and make profits. Let's understand time value. So time value is a difference between the premium, which is option premium here in this case, and the intrinsic value. Here when we are saying time value, it is a combination of time value plus implied volatility both. ATM and OTM options only have time value because intrinsic value is zero in such cases. Okay, because they cannot be exercised immediately to make profits. The more time which is remaining for the options to expiry, the greater is the time value, and the counter is also true. That is, as the time decreases, as the time to maturity decreases, the time value also decreases. A contract normally loses its value as it approaches the expiration date. As we said, the more you move towards the expiry date, the more your time value will start going down. Okay, because there is now hardly any scope for the OTM option to become an ITM option. A option with a 1 month to expiry will have more time value compared to anything which is having 1 week left for expiration. Same logic. Investors are willing to pay higher premium for more time, as contracts will have more time to become favorable. Hence, your option premium will be higher in case of where you have the time to expiry is more, and the option premium value decreases as we move towards the expiration, wherein the intrinsic value is the same, but the time value component goes down. Time value decreases over a period of time in an accelerated space. It is not a normal linear movement which happens, because initially, let's say 3 months contract and your time value is X, then it will become X minus Y, then it will become X minus Y minus Z, and it will keep going down. And as it comes towards the expiration, the acceleration is there, it moves faster. This concept is known as time decay or time value decay. Implied volatility. As I said earlier, implied volatility is not the same as historical volatility. Both are different. And in case of options, we look at the implied volatility, not the historical one. Implied volatility is forward looking. High volatility implies that the options will have higher premiums, because understand there are two stocks and both have the same intrinsic value. In one I expect lower volatility, in the other I expect higher volatility. Obviously the option premium of the second one would be higher, because though the intrinsic value is the same, the implied volatility factor would be higher there. Implied volatility usually increases in bearish markets and decreases when the market is bullish. Why? Because in the bullish market, you already have seen the growth which is happening. Bearish markets, the volatility could be much, much higher. Implied volatility signals market sentiments, especially fear and uncertainty. It stays low in stable markets, but rises sharply during the markets of risk and unpredictability. So it is associated with risk, uncertainty, sentiment, negative sentiment, and so on and so forth. Implied volatility isn't dependent on the direction of the price movement. but rather on the magnitude of the movement. So person who's looking at volatility is not looking at whether it is going high or low. It is what is the quantum of that movement, what is the magnitude of that movement is what is considered. It doesn't indicate whether the price of the underlying asset is expected to go up or go down, because volatility does not have a sign. Okay? So it can, if you say the volatility is 2, it can go in either directions. It measures how much the market believes the price could change in either direction. So as I said, there is no signage to volatility. So it's just the magnitude. So it actually tells us how the market believes how much the price could change in either direction. Thank you so much. Let's connect in a new video with a new concept.